Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, here to talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, superstar news, rumors, injuries, updates, all that cool wrestling stuff that we love so damn much, you can hear on this show. So, just to kind of, confirm it is a Thursday. It's not a Friday. It felt like a Friday today. I don't know why. I had Friday vibes. But Friday is tomorrow. Today is Thursday. Today we're going to, here on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, we're going to talk about AEW Blood and Guts. It was a pretty good, a nice little cool event. I thought it was dope. And then we're going to talk about my Thursday night wrestling preview, stepping into the world of Ring of Honor and the ring of TNA Impact. Then we're going to talk about Daniel Bryan. Damn it, I always get this wrong. Bryan Danielson he's being barred from competing due to his neck injury. His doctor says that he wants him to hold out until Wembley Stadium in his fight against Swerve Strickland. So we're going to get into that. And then our fourth segment, we're going to talk about WrestleMania. WrestleMania possibly going to London sooner rather than later. So we're going to dig on into that. And then our fifth and final segment, every Thursday we do it. We're going to hit up my Superstar Spotlight, Thursday Superstar Spotlight. Today we're going to talk about the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and it's gonna be amazing. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, concerns. Give me a shout out of where you're listening from. Give me some of your wrestling opinions, as they come by. Always, always, always feel welcome. Hit up the gsmcpodcast.net. Hit up the tips and donations link. Leave whatever you can. But most importantly, hope you enjoy the show. Hope you have fun. Just sending chats. It's fun. It's fun to talk in terms of like sports and stuff like that. It's always cool to have someone to bounce ideas off of. A nice little friendly banter about professional wrestling is always well accommodated, and it's I want it. So don't make me wait too long. I'm just kidding. No, absolutely don't feel shy. Hit up the chat. Tell me how you feel about anything, absolutely anything, and remember to Superman punch that like a subscribe button to the show and also to the GSMC Sports Network, so you can continue getting awesome podcasts from this network. We have so many other podcasts. We have baseball, football, basketball, and professional wrestling, and so much more on the GSMC Sports Network. So make sure you be a part of this GSMC Sports bloodline. Once again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. All right, now we're gonna dig into our first segment. We're gonna talk about AEW Blood and Guts. So it started. MJF came out, of course, all cocky with the snarl on his face, with his head up his own butt. It's you know what? Something that I definitely do respect and love about MJF is that no matter what happens, you just have your eyes on him. You just can't wait to see what he says next. You're always lingering on, what exactly is in store whenever you see him come out in terms of a promo, in terms of a wrestling match, especially. MJF is definitely the pride and joy of AEW. I was kind of reading around the wrestling Twitter kind of community and people saying that AEW was a little boring during MJF's hiatus. And by all means, I don't think it was boring, so to speak, because when I became an AEW fan, like a real, real fan, probably like about 6 to 8 months ago, I don't think MJF was there at the moment, but no, it was. I like this product. I think MJF makes it 10 times better. But AEW is still impressive in it itself. Only a company that's been around for about 5 years. And they're already drawing an audience. They're already getting TV deals with, HBO Max and Warner Brothers Discovery. So yeah, just very impressive stuff. And then MJF basically said when Will Ospreay is in the limelight, he shrinks. But when MJF is in the spotlight, he shines. And so far, that's kind of true. I only see Will Ospreay really kind of lose on at pay-per-views. Although he did have a really good match against Bryan Danielson at a Dynasty where he used the Tiger Driver 91. But man, him having that confliction of he doesn't want to use that move. It's cost him. It's cost him 1,010%. Now Will Ospreay, he's no longer kind of has to start from the bottom up to get a title shot. So it's going to be a good, remarkable journey. I can't wait to see what Will Ospreay does because, no matter what, even when he doesn't have a title on him, Will Ospreay is absolutely electric. Oh, spray, spray. And, and then he mentioned, about his recently passing, Will Ospreay's recently passed grandma saying that, you basically dug your grave next to her. And it was just like, oh my God, oh my God, this guy's a jerk, man. This guy's an ours hall. Like, it's crazy, but he does it well. He does that, he's able just to get under the skin of other competitors and stuff like that. Definitely love, MJF saying that the fans were being unpatriotic and treasonous. And he unveiled a new version of the international championship. We saw now we have the American championship, which he said thanks to your American hero. He was referring to himself. So this was going on for quite a long time. You saw the confetti come out, and then you saw the United States with his head symbolizing the stars of the states, and it was just it was just so MJF. It was 1,010% just MJF, and and then, of course, my man Will Ospreay, he comes up, even though MJF said Will isn't on his level, he came and he got his rematch, and he's going to rematch him at All In. He's on home turf. He brought out that international championship that MJF threw in the trash. So we have a match set for Sunday, August 25th at All In. So pretty awesome. It was a great promo overall. Love these two superstars. Love these two guys. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. So then they did the coin flip. Of course, we all saw this happening for the Blood and Guts match. Who will get the advantage? Obviously, it is the Elite. You saw Christopher Daniels, the vice president, under Tony Khan. He saw him laid out. Obviously, there's some kind of, conspiracy theories. Maybe the coin toss was fixed. I know Tony Schiavone was pretty adamant about it. He was like, obviously that thing was a fixed coin toss, and I was like, dude, that's just professional wrestling. I love it. Next, we have the FTW Championship. You saw Chris Jericho take on Minoru Suzuki. It was a well fought match. All in all, I felt it was really awesome. After the match, obviously, you saw Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho actually got injured in the match. It's going to be interesting to see if they, have him stripped of the title or if he decides to hand it off to Big Bill or something like that. Or, it's the Learning Trees title, you know what I mean? Or, with Brian Keith and stuff like that. Chris Jericho, he got tore up. He got tore up from the beginning of the match. They were trading blows, they were trading chops, and he was just bleeding. And then you just saw Suzuki just kind of laugh off every strike that Chris Jericho kind of had on him. Chris Jericho was ultimately able to pick up the victory. Then after the match, you saw the Learning Tree attack Suzuki. Then you saw Shibata return to help out Suzuki, and it really doesn't say much of what's going to happen in the future with the FTW Championship. I was expecting maybe Hook to come back as well to help out Suzuki. Suzuki, without a doubt, will kind of probably take the place of Samoa Joe if these six competitors ever have a trios match against each other. So kind of setting up storylines for the future in terms of Minoru Suzuki, but in terms of Chris Jericho, it's going to be interesting to see who's his next feud and opponent's going to be. So always excited for that. Then we saw Britt Baker DMD defeat Hikaru Shida, and they've had quite a history together. Obviously Shida's a three-time AEW World Champion. Britt Baker, I believe she won her championship from Shida. And then you saw at the end of the match, I think this was really big for Britt Baker. Definitely a kind of like spiking your flag kind of match where you kind of have to show the wrestling universe, AEW, all the superstars in the locker room. You got to show them that you're still tough as nails. You can go out there and compete with the best. And she did it. She did very, very well. She was able to pick up the victory. But then you saw, of course, Mercedes Moné come out, and it was basically saying if you want this championship, but too bad it's not going to happen. And then you saw Camille debut, just a Hercules type of a woman, man. This girl looked like she was, looks like a Greek goddess ready to kick your ass at any moment of time. No, it was pretty crazy though. She definitely knocked out Britt Baker, furthering that furthering that feud between Monet and Britt Baker. So it's going to be, I think that match is going to happen at All In. I don't know how quick it is that they're going to put the title right back on Britt Baker, but so far I've kind of been, wrong in terms of speculating and be like, oh, they recently came. I don't think they're going to win the championship right away. Usually when I say that, it kind of happens, and I'm like, oh, wow, it looks like I don't know wrestling. I'm just kidding. No, so all right, and next we saw Kris Statlander attacking the new CMLL World Women's Champion, Willow of Nightingale. And man, freaking Stokely, man, that guy just irks me. Oh God, man, you're gonna see these two feud over this championship, which I kind of thought was going to happen once when obviously they knocked each other out of the Owen Hart Cup women's tournament. And Kris Statlander, ever since she's kind of left Willow, she seems like she has a new edge. Obviously, still part of the Don Callis family, but it just looks like she has this new, just ambition, just this new determination that she's gonna go out and she's gonna get what she wants, and she doesn't care who she hurts along the way. And it sucks, Willow Nightingale, her former, best friend, kind of had to get the crap end of the stick there. So, then we see a promo with Jeff Jarrett talking to Bryan Danielson, saying that he, worked his ass off. He really was bummed out when he lost to Hangman Adam Page, but was happy when Bryan Danielson hoisted up that trophy, when he shook his hand and he said, you have a date with destiny. This, you know, it sounds, but then he was kind of questioning Bryan Danielson's commitment of where he's at right now because of the injuries, because of histories of neck fusion surgery and stuff like that for Daniel Bryan. He said, honestly, and I quote, he said, sounds like you got one foot in the door and one foot out the door. And he's like, I don't know if you're just going to kind of use this as an excuse, but, you could tell that it kind of got to Bryan Danielson, and, he's going to go out there and give it his all. He's going to go out there. He does in every single match. Bryan Danielson is 1,010% amazing. He has a tall task ahead of him at All in the main event, taking on Swerve Strickland. So, it's going to be a great match. One of the better matches of probably in recent months. It's going to be, pretty awesome. Pretty damn awesome. Then we see Patriarchy in a promo stating that they are the new AEW Trio Championships, basically saying that they are untouchable. No one can touch them. Then you saw Pac defeat a guy named Boulder. It was like a jobber match, but the jobber was big as hell. Like, it's crazy. Then you saw the Glamour Mariah May make her debut. She brought the high heel. She had the Owen Hart Cup belt. She fought a hometown jobber, Tony Storm. She came out. And she was going to kick her ass. Like, I felt a lot of tension. I feel like the way they're handling this storyline is really, really good. Obviously they're gonna fight each other at All In for the AEW World Women's Championship. And Tony Storm said, and I quote, Are you prepared to die? Because I am." It's like one of those things, like where you kind of, like, if you're forced to wrestle like your best friend or fight someone, you're like, you know what, if I'm going down, you're going down with me, kind of mentality. And the fans like it. She came out of the crowd, she took off the wig, and lo and behold, it was a timeless Tony Storm. And these two girls, oh man, when they're in the ring together, yeah, either if they're friend or foe, so far it seems like it's been nothing but magic. So, good for AEW to kind of have a, great, an amazing women's division. You know what I mean? And then we have the finale, the main event. We have Blood and Guts, Team AEW against the Elite. Started off, you see Darby Allin, Jack Perry, and just like, can Darby Allin have an actual wrestling match where he doesn't get that, like, his ass kicked or get destroyed? Reminds me totally like a Mick Foley. And obviously love Darby, love the way he is in AEW. Definitely need a kind of like lunatic fringe over that kind of point. But I don't know. I just want to see him like not get his ass kicked. I'm like, dude, like, poor guy. Like, damn. So then you saw, obviously they had the Elite had the advantage. You saw Nicholas Jackson come in, Mark Briscoe, Matthew Jackson, then Bowens. then Okada, then Craster, and of course, then you saw a Hangman Adam Page wait until Swerve Strickland came out, attacked him, handcuffed him. It took Jeff Jarrett to come out to overall, kind of even up the odds in this match. But he was, and Billy Gunn, scissor me daddy. I thought that that was pretty cool to free Swerve. And what, I got kind of a hot take, and I'll be quick with it. Kazuchika Okada, he in matches like this, when you saw him in the Anarchy in the Arena match, didn't really show blood. You seen him in this match, didn't really show blood. Didn't really seem like he wanted to go anywhere near those tacks or the barbed wire. And it seems like he's kind of I don't want to say like a prima donna, but kind of like a little bit. I'm just kidding, but I don't know. I just want to see him. Yeah, and it could be like a double standard because a lot of these superstars in AEW, they're like, oh, I don't give an F, man. I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna shed blood, like let's do it. And then Okada's like, you know what, I've had my fair share of that. I'm not, my wrestling speaks for itself. So by all means, yeah, but I just want to see him get dirty once in a while. You know what I mean? Because he's kind of, he's kind of crazy, kind of crazy. So, after all, Team AEW won after Darby Allin threw lighter fluid all over Jack Perry. He was chained to the chain link fence of the steel cage, and he was threatened to light Perry on fire. Perry would said he did not want to quit. It took, I think, Matthew. It took Matthew Jackson to be like he gave Darby a match for the TNT Championship against Jack Perry at All In, and after he got that, he picked up the win. To be honest, I think Darby Allin had one of the most successful nights in his career last night. Definitely starting off as as the number one guy, outlasted a hellacious match just to get Matthew Jackson to quit. So definitely love that. Overall it was a great pay per view. Wouldn't ask for anything more of AEW Blood and Guts. It was very good, very very good. All right, now we're going to move on to our Thursday night wrestling preview. Step into the world of Ring of Honor and the ring of TNA Impact. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, all right, all right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific on the GSMC Sports Network, here to talk about all things professional wrestling. So yeah, if you need some wrestling news or you want to get, butter your biscuit in terms of professional wrestling action, you can always tune into my show. Every night, Monday through Friday. So, hit up the chat. Absolutely love it when people interact. Don't be too shy. Remember to hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. So we get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So ensure that your question gets read on air in front of millions of people. Just send a chat. Absolutely. So any comments, questions, or concerns, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Give me your hot takes on things. Give me some of your projected storylines, maybe some rumors that you that you might want to bring up and have a discussion about. 1,010%. And remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the network, follow the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, and we will be everything will be gravy, baby. Once again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. All right, it's Thursday night. Thursday night wrestling preview. Obviously, lots happening, especially in the world of Ring of Honor. TNA just had their pay-per-view on Saturday, Slammiversary, and it was very good. It was a very good pay-per-view. Definitely a clean slate for the company. Kind of like something that I was mentioning when I was speaking about it. I think it was no, it wasn't no. I think it was Wednesday. No, I think it was Tuesday's podcast. I was talking about it. In Tuesday's podcast, we talked about Slammiversary and how there was you know a number of champions were crowned. Some of them prevailed. Obviously, you kind of saw the system lose everything on TNA. Uh, excuse me. Which kind of it is what it is. It is what it is. I think that they're going to still kind of have. I don't think they're going to break up. I really doubt they're going to break up. But they have been a stable on TNA for quite some time. Maybe they're looking to get some time off. So it should be a pretty good episode today. So obviously tonight on TNA Impact, we're going to see the aftermath of Slammiversary, so you don't want to miss that. And our new TNA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Nemeth will kick off TNA Impact, which is pretty cool. Nick Nemeth outlasted 5 other TNA stars in the main event at Slammiversary to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. The Nick Nemeth era has begun, and we'll hear from the Wanted Man as he kicks off all new TNA. So, I just, I'm proud of Nick Nemeth. I'm proud of everything he's gone through. From his disgruntled departure from WWE after they absolutely destroyed his character and then never really gave him a chance to live up to his potential. Definitely a WWE superstar that you kind of think about it. You're like, I bet you WWE NXT really can't wait to do a collaboration with Nick. It's any match he's in is absolute. It's a banger. So definitely love this new era that Nick Nemeth is bringing TNA into. A title, a champion that that everybody could absolutely be proud of, being like he's done so much. Now he finally he won the big one. You know what I mean? So good for him. Love that 1,010%. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting to see what he has to say. Where he, if Moose comes out and invokes maybe like a rematch clause because he wasn't pinned by Nick Nemeth. This was a 6-way elimination match. Obviously, a way for any champion to kind of be like, all right, if you're gonna have him lose the belt, it's gonna be either in a fatal 4-way triple threat. You don't really have to have him be pinned, so he has that kind of an excuse, kind of like that out to be like, all right, and well now I want to prove that I can actually have my rematch, and I can see Moose coming out tonight. Definitely, I can see the system right now. Like I said before, the system's kind of broken right now. Lost all the gold besides Alicia Edwards, but I think that would be overall beneficial for the company. But if you're trying to bring in like a new era, like this new Nick Nemeth era that TNA is trying to claim, then you sort of kind of have to steer away from the whole, moves kind of getting close toward that TNA World Championship, because they did fight one-on-one before, and Moose was able to pick up the victory. So it would kind of be a setback if Moose regained the title. Highly doubt that would happen, but anything is possible. It would be kind of cool to see new matches, new competitors competing for Nick Nemeth's TNA World Heavyweight Championship. But only time will tell, especially what happens tonight during this promo. And then next we have Josh Alexander shocked the TNA faithful at Slammiversary with a surprising attitude change, delivering a low blow to Joe Hendry before eliminating him with a C4 spike. The assault didn't end there as he continued to pummel the viral superstar after the match. This Thursday, the Walking Weapon will address his actions. And, what will he say? What will he say? To be brutally honest, you took out Joe Henry, man. Why did you do that? He pinned Moose for everybody. Come on. I'm just kidding. No. But obviously, you're going to see a feud stem out of this. A feud between Joe Hendry and Josh Alexander. Joe Hendry is promised to be at the Great American Bash next week for WWE NXT. I think Joe Hendry comes out. And these guys, they have a talk. They mix words. They talk crap, and they, establish maybe a match for the future, which, by all means, probably the best way to kind of go about it. So, Josh Alexander coming out to talk, and, another good promo that's going to have me on the edge of my seat. Can't wait to see it. Next, we have Steve Maclin taking on Cody Deaner. Steve Maclin, who was eliminated in the six-man elimination match at Slammiversary, is looking to vent his frustrations on Cody Deaner with a crowd on Deaner's side with Maclin coming up short. Will he come up short once again? And, or will Deaner get caught in the crosshairs? Find out on TNA Impact. Then we have, at Slammiversary, ABC overcame the system to become the new TNA World Tag Team Champions, while Matt Hardy exacted his revenge plan for JDC and for his family. Now Matt Hardy and ABC will team up to battle the system and JDC. So JDC's been knocking on the door of the system for quite a long time. He wants to be part of this prestigious stable. Is this going to be another way to kind of, to kind of gaslight, or, not gaslight, that's the wrong word, to, light a light a fire under this, kind of downtrodden stable, the system right now. They lost all the gold. Still a great stable, still a great group of guys, amazing wrestlers. JDC was trying to, prove his worthiness to Moose, but Moose ultimately said he wasn't part of the system. So what's going to happen tonight? I don't mind the system. I hope they bounce back tonight. Definitely think they will 1,010%. And, next we have AJ Francis once again, kind of down in the dumps, losing his digital media championship and the international championship against, PCO at, Slammiversary, where PCO, he got the gold, he got his girl, and he got the glory. So good for him. So, and then of course you have Sami Callihan, attempt to even the odds. The numbers game proved too much for him. Now Sami Callihan and AJ Francis will collide on Impact tonight. And then, after coming up short at Slammiversary, the personal concierge Anna Hammerstone confronted Director of Authority Santino Marella made it official on TNA Impact. You will see Hammerstone team up with Ash by Elegance and will face off against Eric Young and the Knockouts World Champion Jordan Grace. So, sounds like a really good episode of TNA. Can't wait to watch highlights of it. 1,010%. All right, then to kind of dive into Ring of Honor, we are less than 24 hours away from Death Before Dishonor. So you're going to see, maybe they find a way to kind of, include another match into the pay-per-view or into the PLE. But I feel like right now they have a pretty good, I think they have 8 matches, no, like 6 or 7 matches that are, all for titles, obviously. Tonight you're going to have a tag team battle. You're going to see the Blackpool Combat Club, the team of Ring of Honor Pure champion Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli taking on the Shane Taylor Promotions, Anthony Ogogo and Lee Majority. Lee Majority's taking on Yuta at Death Before Dishonor tomorrow. So this is big. This is big for Lee to, build up a momentum, to build up, some enthusiasm, to kind of get the ball rolling in terms of becoming the new Ring of Honor Strong Champion. So, it should be pretty awesome. The challengers and Athena's bestie, last week during Honor Club 73, the AEW World Women's Champion Athena, the AEW World Women's, no, that's not right. The Ring of Honor World Women's Champion. She told Queen Aminata and Red Velvet that they'd have 5 minutes of uninterrupted time with Lexi Nair during this week's program. And, it should be pretty interesting what she has to say. She's like, and I'm going to back off here. I'm going to let you guys kind of do your thing. I love Athena. I love the way she kind of plays these mind games. The leader of MIT, the fallen goddess, should be pretty awesome. Then we have a tag team bout. We have Atlantis Jr. teaming up with Leo Rush, taking on Johnny TV and Shane Taylor. Another good match. Should be pretty awesome. Next, we have the Dark Order, team of Alex Reynolds and John Silver taking on the Von Erichs. I figured that match out. I think they made a match with the Von Erichs at Death Before Dishonor. Then we have a 10-man tag match. We have the Iron Savages, the team of Boulder and Brunson. Anthony Henry, you're going to have Jacked Jameson and Nick Camarado versus Top Flight Dante and Darius Martin, Action Andretti, Fuego de Sol, and Commander tonight. So a lot of good stuff. We also see the Judge E.D. Ndoku versus John Cruz. Abaddon will be in action and so much more. 24 hours before Death Before Dishonor, we have Ring of Honor Club. So yeah, make sure you tune in. Can't wait to watch highlights for it. 1,010% Ring of Honor is on the rise after this new partnership with AEW's with the AEW promotion CMLL, also New Japan Professional Wrestling. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, guys, our next segment, we're going to dig into Bryan Danielson being barred from competing. The doctor wants him to wait till AEW's All In pay-per-view. Will he be able to wait? We shall find out. We're going to talk about it up next.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and out, all the news, all the superstar news, the rumors, all the roundups, all the potential storylines that are in the works. So can't wait to come on air and talk to you guys about good old fashioned professional wrestling. All right, just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We talked about AEW Blood and Guts. We reviewed that. We also previewed tonight's Thursday Night Wrestling, which is the TNA Impact, also Ring of Honor. And now we're going to talk about Bryan Danielson's injury and his doc telling him that basically being like, hey, man, you probably shouldn't be doing what you're doing, bro. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Anything about professional wrestling. Absolutely love it when there is a ton of audience engagement, 1,010%. So don't be shy. Make sure you hit up that tips and donations link, and we can have a nice, engageable conversation about professional wrestling. Once again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. All right, so we're going to move on to our third segment. Bryan Danielson is not allowed to wrestle until AEW's All In at Wembley Stadium. During an interview at the American Dragon, he spoke of why he's been sort of on a hiatus after winning the men's Owen Hart Cup, Owen Hart Foundation Cup. Obviously, defeated the Hangman Adam Page, which is, wasn't easy, because when Hangman came back, he came back with kind of like a vengeance. He was, suspended by the EVPs, but, he came back, wanted to kick some ass. And, I thought Bryan Danielson was going to get it. I was like, okay, great. Now you have this guy, because they said he was the mystery guy, and Matthew and Nicholas Jackson were like, the mystery guy's going to bring the title back to the elite. So I was like, okay, great, this guy's going to be part of the elite. But what I saw at AEW Blood and Guts, it didn't really seem like they were on the same Hangman Adam Page. Haha, I'm just kidding. No, moving on. But no, it should be this is great for Bryan Danielson. I feel like he definitely deserved this 1,010%. AEW's Doc Sampson not wanting him to wrestle due to discussions with the family and his contract situation expiring in August. And Bryan Danielson had this to say. He said that, I quote, an injury with Renee Paquette. He said, my neck isn't great. So it's weird because this feels like the biggest match of my whole entire career. And there's a war going on between my mind and my body. Obviously, you see concern from the family because he has kids. Like, in terms of a neck surgery, it's never, you've seen obviously you see Big E going on with it right now. Bobby Roode, you saw Stone Cold Steve Austin ultimately retire in his prime due to this, this kind of neck injury. We saw Kyle O'Reilly recently make a comeback. You saw Edge leave, and then he came back as well from a neck surgery. So, this is something that needs to be handled pretty delicately because, like I said, he does have kids, and imagine just one little slip, and all of a sudden, daddy can't walk around and play in the park with his, little girls anymore, or his kids, or anything like that. So, this is a devastating injury. This is something that Bryan Danielson probably should, kind of take with a, grain of salt and be like, look, like, it's either, wrestle, have a couple of great more years, kind of, a nice little run at it, or, make sure I don't end up in a wheelchair or like a vegetable or something like that, like Darren Drozdoff. Like it's, it's a tough industry, definitely 1,010%. And, Doc Sampson, he said, right now your neck is fixable. You got to make sure that it stays fixable. And that's, if someone would have told me that, I'd be like, all right, and I'm hanging it up today, but obviously, Bryan Danielson is, tough as nails. He loves this industry. He loves professional wrestling. You saw it from the get-go when he was, doing his thing, when he was actually with his wife, Brie, and her sister, Nikki. They were kind of like they were the Bella twins, and they would help him win matches and stuff like that. Then you kind of saw that kind of go under, but, Brie and Daniel, stayed together mostly. And then, then you saw him, have the Yes movement. Then you saw him as the general manager of Friday Night SmackDown with Shane McMahon. And then you saw him, make a little run, a little bit of a run. Then he had this heel turn where he called everybody fickle and how he was, I know the moral compass, that was Dean Ambrose, but he was like this, like, let's recycle kind of guy. Like, yeah, the heel was okay. The heel was decent, him and Eric Rowan. But I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was his personality. And then he made it. Then his contract expired in WWE. Then he ultimately decided to jump ship to AEW, and he's helped out the brand immensely. Obviously, one of the best wrestlers in the whole entire, in the history of professional wrestling. So, definitely love that. August 1st, my wrestling contract is up. He had that to say. When I signed the contract, me and Bree talked about how this would be the last contract I was going to sign. So, a lot of conflictions. Obviously, not easy for someone like Bryan Danielson to kind of, to hang up the boots, so to speak. And after, what Jeff Jarrett said, Jeff Jarrett really wanted to win that tournament. Obviously, he was the partner of the Blue Blazer once when he passed away, and they were supposed to fight in tag team action at the pay-per-view when Owen Hart tragically fell to his death. So, then he, had put the sole responsibility on Bryan Daniel to be like, like, I'm sorry, but you have a destiny to be fulfilled. And I thought that really resonated with Danielson, but still, a lot of crazy stuff. Will he win? He challenges Swerve Strickland at Wembley Stadium. Obviously, he has the injuries in the past that is, that lingers in the back of everyone's mind. Obviously his own, as well as, wrestling fans. Still, sometimes when I watch him wrestle, I'm like, oh my God, like, that's crazy. Because you got to think about this. This guy was retired. He was done. He said no to professional wrestling. He was absolutely like, he was done. He was, he talked to his family, he talked to his little girl, and it was like, dude, like, this is something that is serious. A neck injury is 1,010% serious. It's just the slightest little thing will go wrong, and it's not going to end pretty, and it's going to, it's going to be tragic. Hopefully, knock on wood, that, he comes out of the match unscathed. Like I said, this is, possibly a chance for him to have a nice little outing, to be like, okay, you got beat by Swerve Strickland, but you put on one hell of a match, or he beats Swerve Strickland, retires as a champion, and, because I don't know if they're going to take his AEW con. I know how friendly Tony Khan is with his wrestlers and his superstars and stuff like that. So I doubt that he would ever hold a contract over Bryan Danielson's head. Maybe do it like a year by year where he's not a full-time participant. He did participate in the Anarchy in the Arena, but kind of saw him, and I'm not saying that he was like shying away from all the action, but he was still kicking ass, but he wasn't like doing any crazy stunts or anything like that, which is probably what he should probably be doing with his with his injuries and stuff like that, like in the past and shit. Oh, excuse me, stuff. Back in May, Danielson admitted that he would need neck surgery pretty soon. So like I said, dropping the belt, or like losing to Swerve Strickland, having one damn good match before he leaves, gets his neck surgery, rehabs it, chills. Maybe he comes back in like a year or something like that. But once again, neck surgery, it's it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. So are we going to see Bryan Danielson's last wrestling run? For his sake, for his health, I just hope he makes the right decision. Obviously, you saw him AEW Dynasty where he lost to Will Ospreay thanks to the Tiger Driver 91. The reason why Will Ospreay will not use it because he thought he injured Bryan Danielson. And just some stuff in the past. He was stripped of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in 2014 because of his injury. And then he officially retired in 2016. So definitely not a great decision, not a great kind of a circumstance to kind of be in right now, because essentially you kind of have both things kind of lingering on both sides. Do you want to be a wrestler? Are you ready to give this up that you love so damn bad? Or are you going to go out there and chance it, and just that obviously, like, you're not going to fall on your head and neck every single time, and there's going to be obviously it's professional wrestling, so accidents do happen. But for Bryan Danielson's sake, it's kind of I think it's too much of a liability to be like, okay, now you got to go out there every night. You got to put basically your career and your health in the hands of others that they won't drop you on a botched move or anything like that. And it's oh man, tough decisions, tough decisions. But I think the doctor kind of got it right. Telling Bryan Danielson to hold off until till All In Wembley Stadium. So yeah. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to move on to our fourth segment. We're going to talk about WrestleMania going to London. So hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, all the rumors, all the backstage promos, and all that. We have it here covered on this great wrestling show. So, glad for you guys to join in. So just kind of reiterate what we talked about. I talked about AEW Blood and Guts. Talked about my Thursday night wrestling review, step into the ring of TNA Impact in the world of Ring of Honor right before Death Before Dishonor. And then we talked about Bryan Danielson, holding off until AEW's, next pay-per-view at Wembley Stadium. You have All In, where he takes on Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. But, now we're moving on. We're moving on to our next segment. Our next segment, we're going to talk about WrestleMania, the greatest spectacle in sports entertainment, WrestleMania, going to London. Absolutely exciting. I love this. I like this for so many reasons. 1,010%. WrestleMania is set to be held in the United Kingdoms as London becomes the first ever international host for the greatest spectacle on earth. There was talks between London's mayor, Sadiq Khan, and also Triple H. A bunch of UK wrestling fans, as well as superstars that's come from the United Kingdom. Like you had at one point, you did have the WWE NXT UK, And, you just can't help but to feel that, bringing something as great as professional wrestling, something as special as WWE has become over the past couple of decades. They've had record-breaking events, PLEs outside of the United States. Obviously, you had some in Canada, France, Australia, Scotland, Saudi Arabia, and they've done well. They've done very, very well, and you can't really, I know a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of, there's going to be a lot of hate. There's going to be a lot of backlash online of people being like, okay, so you're taking WWE's greatest event, you're going to take it out of America, and it's going to be hard for people. But I feel like if people love wrestling so much, they'll put up with the travel, they'll put up with the flight fare, they'll put up with the lodging and stuff like that. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to be very, very expensive. But it's something that I feel like WWE has been wanting to do for such a long time, is to host WrestleMania internationally, but it was never really kind of took place. The idea never really shot out of a cannon, so to speak. But so now you kind of have it becoming real, very, very real. So Sadiq Khan expressed his enthusiasm. He said, and I quote, "I am delighted to have met with WWE Hall of Famer Paul Triple H Levesque and WWE President Nick Khan to discuss how London will be the first ever international, um, you know, WrestleMania." So, pretty big words. Khan was very vocal about attracting more global sports spectacles to London. There's not a confirmed date quite just yet, but obviously WWE, and of course, if Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, is serious about this, bringing sports to, bringing big sporting events to London. This is quite a way to kick it off, and this is quite a way to kind of get the buzz going around. This is going to excite people 1,010%. You're going to see UK fans. You're going to see young wrestling fans get so excited to see finally WrestleMania going international. Wow, in itself. That's very impressive. That's very impressive. It did take about 40 years to do it, but it's about time. It's about damn time. And I think WWE is going to, they're going to put on a great event. That's not really ever the question. They always host amazing WrestleManias. I don't really think I've ever seen like a really bad WrestleMania. I could do a little bit of research and find some bad WrestleMania spots. But overall, it's the shows of shows, man. It's the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. Everybody knows what WrestleMania is. Like the Super Bowl of WWE. Like, even if you're not a wrestling fan, if someone's watching WrestleMania and watch party, you're like, oh, okay, I'll go over. It's gonna be cool. You know what I mean? So, definitely excited. I can't wait 1,010%. WWE President Nick Khan had this to say. He said, Sadiq Khan and his team was working very hard on positioning London as a sports and entertainment capital of Europe. Great that WWE can support them on their journey. And that, oh my God, that's so great. I love that. I love that, these three individuals walked into an office, be like, look, how can we have something that's beneficial for all of us? You know what I mean? Because WrestleMania's impact economically really, really does help the hosting cities. Like, they average about a revenue of $1.25 billion. They draw about 150,000 fans from over 64 countries. So a lot of people are going to be, if they come to WrestleMania, they're going to see how beautiful London is. And it's going to be, more bigger as a tourism spot. Also a place for WWE to hold, even more events and stuff like that. Obviously, you do have AEW that does it at Wembley Stadium. I don't know if WWE is going to have it as well at Wembley Stadium. It would be kind of crazy and kind of cool at the same time. But recently there was also a rumor that they're going to bring WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. You recently got the news that SummerSlam is going to be a 2-night event. And, I kind of speculated that as, WWE kind of compensating to be like, all right, if we're going to move WrestleMania outside of the States, then we overall kind of have to get it to the point where we can kind of butter up the fans to be like, oh, we can't be too mad at WWE for leaving the United States because you still have SummerSlam. You're going to still have, the biggest party of the summer. You're going to have Survivor Series. You're going to have the Royal Rumble. WrestleMania is huge and 1,010%. Oh God, it's an amazing show. But I think right now, it's time for a change for WWE in terms of internationally and stuff like that. And under this new guidance of, Triple H teaming up with the WWE president, Nick Khan, you can totally tell that WWE is going to go more international, and a lot of fans might be reluctant for accepting the idea, but overall, in terms of business, I think it's going to be great. And once again, kind of reiterating on some of the best superstars that you've seen come out of the United Kingdom, come out of the European era. Gunther, Bowser, you see how amazing that guy is. You have Drew McIntyre, you have Nikki Cross, you had Cesaro, William Regal, Finn Balor, you had the British Bulldog, Sheamus, Pete Dunne, Becky Lynch, you had Andre the Giant, you also had Bruno Sammartino. So, a lot of success could come, and this could definitely, start sprouting up new professional wrestlers. Maybe they can have a brand happening over in Europe. Like I said, they did have the NXT UK for a little while. Don't know why exactly they don't have that much anymore. But I think there's definitely something they can bring back. They can plant a seed where, WWE could be international. I know there was talks about them doing some territories in Puerto Rico, inside Mexico City, and stuff like that. They recently did have a super show down there in Latin America. So sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. And WWE just adding another country, having one of the most populated, having one of the most prestigious cities in just history in the United States, in American, in world history, in London. So super excited. It's going to be amazing. Think it's a great choice. I need a date. I can't wait to find out a date because I'm waiting on pins and needles here, Triple H. Can't wait to see. All right, now we're moving on to our fifth and final segment. We're going to talk about my Thursday Superstar Spotlight of the week. We have the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Had him because about 3 days ago, my man, 22, on July 22nd, he had a birthday. So yeah, we're going to talk about my boy, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right, all right, all right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Here to talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, and absolutely anything in terms of the professional wrestling industry. We talk about it here. All the major breaking news segments, contract rumors, and just basically anything that fuels this beloved sport. So now we're going to move on into our Thursday Superstar Spotlight of the week. We're going to talk about Shawn Michaels, the most amazing man in the world. If he's not on your, Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers, what are you doing with your life? I'm just kidding. No. A lot of people, they probably do have Shawn up there, and by all means, he deserves it 1,010%. So we have Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels being born in Chandler, Arizona. Michael Shawn Hickenbottom, decided to ditch his name. Didn't really like the name Michael. I think he established that when he was very young. Then he was being, called Shawn. He was known as Shawn to all of his, friends and family after that. He was born July 22nd of 1965. He's now the Senior Vice President of Talent Development, Creative, and oversees the NXT brand. And he's been doing such a marvelous job lately, with this new connection with TNA, this collaboration, keeping a lot of superstars happy from both brands. It's not, easy keeping a group of guys with unchecked egos and, no, I'm just kidding. I, don't know that. Speculations and allegations. So, definitely love what Shawn Michaels is doing over on the WWE NXT brand. He's known as the Showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania, and of course the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Um, he was a talent in WWF from 1988 until his first retirement in 1998. He started again in 2002 until 2010. He main evented WrestleMania 5 times. Obviously, part of that, part of the most amazing faction, kind of up there with the NWO. I would say the NWO and DX, D Generation X had so many like kind of like similarities, so to speak. Like they went out there, they caused absolute mayhem. They pissed off the boss, but then of course the boss, like Eric Bischoff, joined the NWO, and you didn't see that with Vince McMahon, but it was just so funny. It was great TV. So D Generation X, absolutely huge, loved it. Also wrestled in the AAWA, the American Wrestling Association, part of the Midnight Rockers with his partner Marty Jannetty back in 1985. And then, of course, they would come to the WWF. He's a 4-time world champion, 2-time Royal Rumble winner, the first ever Grand Slam champion, a 2-time Hall of Famer. He's also been a he's also been a trailblazer in terms of new match stipulations. He fought in the first ever Hell in a Cell, fought in the first ever ladder match, first ever Iron Man match, and the first ever Elimination Chamber match. So, WWE Creative was like, you know what, we're going to have these new match stipulations and we really need one guy that's going to be able to bring it on home. And of course, at Hell in the Cell, The Undertaker, great match. You had the ladder match, Razor Ramon, loved it. Then you had the Iron Man match with Bret Hart. And then you had the Elimination Chamber. I think it was Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho. I can't think of the others. Right now. But, definitely going to check that out after the show. He grew up in San Antonio, Texas. At the age of 12, he performed a wrestling match in front of all his peers in his high school, and he used fake blood. He made it real, man. He went out there. He showed his passion for professional wrestling, and, it was great. I would have loved to do, after I saw a documentary on Shawn Michaels when I was in high school, and I kind of thought to myself, I kind of idolized Shawn, to be honest. Like, I loved his persona. I loved the way, he carried himself. He was cocky, conceited, self-centered. Then he had a reality check. He found himself. He put his trust in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And, then he became a new man, and, he obviously an amazing father, amazing husband, overall just an amazing human being. So, definitely love, and I idolize Shawn Michaels for that as well. Um, he also played football. He attended the Southwest Texas State University, but dropped out for his professional wrestling career. He made his own theme song when he was going out, when he was being accompanied by Sensational Sherry. And I remember once when him and Kurt Angle had their kind of feud back in like 2006 or 7, I believe. And like Kurt Angle was, he was doing his own song where he had Sensational Sherry come out and be like, and Kurt Angle's walking around like, he's like, you think I'm cute? No, I'm sexy. Like, it was just, I don't know. It was just great TV. And obviously, that was when Shawn came back, and, because he started wrestling again in 2002. So, definitely love that. He represented the brand during the Monday Night Wars, which wasn't easy for Shawn. A lot of pressure on Shawn Michaels. Like I said, I did watch a documentary on Shawn Michaels, and just so much pressure to be that guy. Shawn Michaels was asked to, quote, kind of defeat WCW on his own, because you had Kevin Nash leave. You also had Razor Ramon leave. Hulk Hogan was then you see, Jeff Jarrett, Sting, Bill Goldberg, Scott Steiner, Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page. You just see it absolutely heating up on WCW. And the birth, obviously, the reckoning of the Attitude Era definitely helped. But someone to help usher in that new era was the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. So Shawn Michaels is one on my Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, because I just felt like he's kind of done it all already. And he's held the WWF for so long. And of course, like, he eventually, he got hurt and stuff like that. In 1998, he had a casket match at the Royal Rumble against The Undertaker, where he had two herniated discs. One of them was actually, broken in his back, and he lost the championship to Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14, mostly because of it. But you can just, like, when Shawn Michaels came back from injury, in every single match, every single Irish whip to the corner, he looked like he was in pain. He looked like he was always holding his back and stuff like that. Definitely, spine chilling for Shawn Michaels. And coming back from a broken back, like, that's crazy. That's insane. And obviously, you had the whole Mike Tyson thing too in WWE. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he kind of a little bit. He kind of gave the reins over to Stone Cold Steve Austin with him winning that title. But of course, then Stone Cold Steve Austin had some injuries that he had a neck injury that he had to step away from professional wrestling for quite some time. Actually, I don't think he really came back as like a regular routine wrestler ever again after he hurt his neck, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So these wrestlers obviously put their bodies through a lot. You can, like, we were talking about Bryan Danielson earlier, talking about Shawn and his back, and Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that. So yeah, and like the impact that he had all over the locker room. D-Generation X was definitely something that everybody liked to see. They had the DX, like the suck it chops and stuff like that. Everybody was doing it at school. I remember everybody doing it at school, and it was just, so cool. It's just so how impactful wrestling could be, but more so how impactful one superstar could be on an entire generation of children. Shawn Michaels, you gotta love the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and I gotta be honest, I really did love the revamped, the new and improved D-Generation X in 2006 and 2007. It was pretty great. It was pretty awesome, to be honest. I was part of it 1,010%. I love the spray paint. I love them beating up on the Spirit Squad, Shane McMahon and the Big Show and Vince McMahon, and it was just exciting. Every episode of Monday Night Raw I turned on, and it was just the laugh, just a giant laugh. D-Generation X is definitely, that's why Triple H is on my Mount Rushmore as well. You can totally tell who are my two out of four favorite wrestlers. But loved Shawn Michaels. Like I said, amazing man, amazing husband, amazing wrestler, an amazing overall just human being. I'm lucky to speak about Shawn today. I know it's 3 days after his birthday. Definitely, if you're watching this, which I doubt, but love Shawn Michaels, huge fan, 1,010%. Got to come on the show. I'm just kidding. No, that would be amazing. That would be so sick. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Well, guys, that was my show for you today. Hope you guys liked it. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also, leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. And remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we have college football right around the corner with my boy Tommy. We also have the two football podcasts, one Chip Shot football podcast with Manny. We also have the GSMC football podcast with my boy Kenneth. We also have basketball with my man Nelson, who's been on the show a couple of times. Sam with baseball, the Andrew Tate Show. We also have TJ, Jeremy, repping GSMC Sports 1,010%. And when, in terms of sports, in terms of NFL, fantasy sports are going to be right around the corner. My man, Chris Shepard, hosting the GSMC Fantasy Sports podcast. Find out, your stardoms, your sit-ems, who you should draft. You want to make sure you want to keep that podcast handy, especially if you're a huge fantasy football sports goer. I know I am. I join I run my own league. And then I have about maybe like one or two more I kind of dabble in. I always have that league where, I take things a little seriously, but not too seriously. And then there's always one that I'm like, all right, this is the one I'm going to kick total ass. And surprisingly, I always end up sucking. So, so you bet that I'm going to be watching that GSMC Fantasy Sports podcast when football starts rolling around. Just kind of get some insight on some footy football. All right, guys. Well, like I said, that's it for me. Stay beautiful. Have an amazing night. And I will see you tomorrow on our Friday. So have a good night. Sleep well. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.